Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 11th episode of Let's Talk Automotive. Joining me again tonight, Peter Fuyun. Thanks very much. Not too cold today.
Not too bad, not too bad. I've only got one jersey on.
Listen, Pete, we've got a fully packed show today with a bunch of new segments and a bit of differentness and all that sort of stuff. Listen, we've got a dealer review. We've got a guest joining us talking about value-added products for our customers. We've got my absolute favorite, Guess the Car Game.
Not my favorite.
Not your favorite, obviously. And then an awesome new segment called How Does It Work by Peter Fuyun.
The one and only.
All right, so let's get into a new segment, this week's news.
Yes, it's not necessarily brand new news. It came out a little bit earlier this month, but the news that the production of the new Ranger and the Amarok is indeed going to occur in the same facility in Rosslyn, and the new Amarok and the new Ford Ranger, the 2022 models,
Yes.
will be built in Rosslyn by Ford.
That's very interesting. So VW, Ford Ranger, Amarok in the same factory
In the same factory?
in South Africa,
Yep.
and most probably will be delivered to the rest of the world from here.
It's amazing actually, because what we don't necessarily realize is that the Ranger produced in Rosslyn is actually exported to 100 plus countries.
That's insane.
So it's going to be an opportunity for Amarok, because up till now Amarok has been built in South Africa, Germany
Yes.
and Argentina. And with this announcement, one of the things that we did pick up was there was no mention of where else the Amarok was going to be produced. So the assumption is that it's only going to be produced here in South Africa.
I hear you. All right, so give us a little bit of information with regards to that, Pete.
Well, it's a little bit dodgy, I suppose, in terms of information, because I think both companies have been pretty coy about this up till now. I really would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in both of the boardrooms when that announcement was made. But up till now, nothing more than just, for example, Thomas Sidran, who's the VW Commercial Vehicles Board Chairman, coming out and saying that this is not going to be a badge engineering exercise. But I think we've heard that story before, Fani. You know, when we saw the tie-up between the Nissan Navara and the Mercedes-Benz X-Class. So we need to make sure, I suppose, from a customer perspective, that customers buy into that, because as we've seen, it hasn't been very successful for the Mercedes-Benz X-Class, which after just over 2.5 years was actually yanked from the market, which was quite surprising. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen with the Amarok tie-up with the Ranger. But, you know, this is not something that's new, Fani. I think the reality is that more and more manufacturers are actually starting to collaborate on scales that perhaps we don't necessarily understand. So, you know, if we go into vehicles that are actually jointly developed,
Yes.
first of all, Ford and Volkswagen, it's not new to them to produce something collaboratively.
Yes.
So they, for example, the Galaxy and the Chiran were both built on the same production line.
Yeah.
There's other examples between Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz commercial vehicles, for example. So the Crafter and the Sprinter were built on exactly the same production line, right down to having the same manufacturing plate on it and the same homologation number in South Africa. So
Sure.
there's so many examples. I mean, we can go through to engines as well. So a lot of the manufacturers share their engines. Might surprise some people. Maybe some people are going to trade their cars in tomorrow, I don't know, but
Hopefully not.
hopefully not. But, you know, for example, the A and B class Mercedes-Benz diesel, the 1.5 diesel, is not a Mercedes-Benz engine. It's in fact a Renault engine. And BMW and Peugeot have collaborated in terms of the 116i motor, which is also found in the Mini. So lots and lots of examples. But it gets even more exciting, because these days there's a lot of models that aren't actually manufactured by the manufacturer. So they
Yes.
outsource the production of these models.
All right.
There's an Austrian company called Magnus Steyr, which produces a lot of prototype vehicles that are then converted into production lines. So, for example, the G-Class has been built for ages and is still built
Yes.
by Magnus Steyr. We've got the 5 Series, but particularly the X-Drive versions are built by Magnus Steyr. The Jaguar E and R-Pace, the Z4, All these vehicles are all built by an outsourced company.
It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of interesting collaboration partnerships and ownerships that the viewers at home might not even be aware of. So why don't you just run us through a couple of those?
It's quite unreal, really, that there's ultimately very few independent manufacturers left over. So we know Toyota owns Lexus and Daihatsu, and Volkswagen have got quite a big stable. So, and it's quite complex. So Volkswagen owns Audi, but Audi owns Lamborghini. But as you can see there, they also own Skoda, Bentley, Seat is not on there. It should be Bugatti and Porsche. And then Fiat Chrysler Automobiles.
This is an interesting one.
And it's got even more interesting because they are now tying up with PSA, Peugeot Citroën.
Yes.
So there's a whole lot of brands underneath the FCA banner. One that you'll notice that's not there is Ferrari.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that Fiat own Ferrari. The holding company that owns FCA, which is owned by a family, owns Ferrari and they own FCA. So that's the only type that's still in existence there. And we know PSA is Peugeot and Citroën, which now is in collaboration with FCA and Opel.
Correct.
So it's in fact, it's a joint venture. So it's more than just a collaboration. So that's going to be interesting dynamics. And then Mercedes-Benz is not owned by Mercedes-Benz. It's owned by Daimler.
Yes.
And in turn, they own Maybach and Smart. And BMW own Mini and Rolls-Royce.
Yes.
And then
this is also one that impacts the South African market quite a bit.
Huge. And there's a lot of rumblings within this alliance that we can see worldwide. Yes. So we know what's been happening there. But yeah. And then Tata owns Jaguar and Land Rover. A lot of people might not know that.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. And one that's not commonly spoken of, eh?
Yeah. And then again, Hyundai and Kia, pretty much identical vehicles except for perhaps the looks.
Yes.
And of course, Geely owns Volvo. Now, what's been interesting, and I just want to maybe make a comment on this, is that some of the ownerships have been detrimental to the business, with respect.
Sure.
Okay, and we've seen it, so you get one particular culture, one way of doing business that severely impacts another brand.
Yes.
What's been very interesting for us to observe is the ownership of Tata, of Jaguar Land Rover, and Geely of Volvo. And on both those instances, you would not know that they own them because they are very much at arm's length.
Sure.
So they've left, in Geely's case, for example, with Volvo, they've left Volvo to be Volvo.
Yes.
And so Volvo's retained its DNA.
Very
so I think there's lessons to be learned out of that with these alliances.
Okay, guys, we're going to move on, and I just want to say to everybody joining us this evening on raceday.tv, welcome, and on FS Media and FS Auto, welcome, and guys, you're more than welcome to be part of the show. If you have any questions with regards to the topics and everything that we're discussing, please just pop them in the comments, and we'll pop them on the screen and actually get to them. All right, we're going to move on to our next segment, and this is where we've got the guest tonight. He is joining us all the way from, I'm actually not even sure where Dawie's from. Let's hear from Dawie, our guest tonight, guest of the week.
Global Motor Administrators, and we are based in Paarl in the beautiful Western Cape.
Dawie, welcome to the show, man. Thank you. All the way from the Paarl, the very beautiful Paarl. How's the weather down there today?
It is actually chilly. We are waiting for a cold front to actually move in tonight. But it's winter time for us. We're looking forward to the rain. We need to fill up our dams. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to that. Yeah.
Dawie, tell us a little bit about Global Motor Administrators. What is it that you guys do? Tell us about your products and your services, if you don't mind.
Fine. So basically, we are a Global Motor Administrators is a registered financial services provider where we are providing or acting as a link between the client and the service provider. We offer full administration functions on claims management, financial reporting, and policy administration services for various insurers out there in the short-term insurance space. We also play in the broker space, and then obviously our biggest client is motor dealers across South Africa.
Absolutely, and that's why we got him on the show, Peter, is because we spoke about after sales last week, and,
Yes.
and one of the topics that we very, very lightly touched on was service plans and maintenance plans and warranties and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So that's why we've got Dawie on the show tonight. Dawie, something that came out of that discussion after the show last week was that people aren't sure what the differences are between a service plan, a maintenance plan, and a warranty. Would you mind just giving us a little bit more insight into that?
Okay. The difference between a service and a maintenance plan is obviously a service plan caters more for routine service items such as oil filters, air filters, oil filters, consumables, and labor. And a maintenance plan, again, it's more in line or covers more maintenance of parts that require less frequent replacements, like cam belt services, brake pads, wiper blades, and any wear and tear related item on that vehicle. So to put in a nutshell, a service plan caters for the minimum service requirements for that specific vehicle, and maintenance is for the upkeep and obviously the upkeep of the vehicle, and then obviously the service portion that forms part of that as well.
Okay,
I hope that clears that up.
Just to sum up, I've been told that very simply, the service plan versus the maintenance plan. The maintenance plan basically covers everything except tires.
Yeah, I mean, it's an extensive version, I suppose, in layman's terms, of a service plan. A service plan really looks at what gets replaced at your service intervals, whereas a maintenance plan looks at any other things that might suffer from wear and tear that are beyond what is traditionally covered in a service.
So I think the biggest what is the right word? The biggest
The difference.
Yeah, the biggest difference between, or confusion comes in between a maintenance plan and a warranty.
Yes.
That's where people get it confused.
Yes, 100%.
That's correct, Fani. And a mechanical warranty covers you against unforeseen mechanical failures. And the warranty will obviously pay for listed components up to specified amounts. And I think that's where a lot of misunderstanding comes in the market, because a lot of clients, they tend to buy a product like a mechanical warranty and sometimes think that it actually covers the services as well. There are products out there that actually covers both. It's like the dealer sells it as a combination product. But like I said, there's that misunderstanding. I've bought the warranty, it covers everything. Actually not. If you go to the actual wording, and that's where a lot of misunderstanding is in the marketplace. Customers not studying their actual policy wording, and that leads to a lot of assumptions that there's always a small print in the wording, and that's another, and then it becomes another factor of contention when we as a inbound call center have to face a client that thinks that he's got bumper to bumper cover, which actually does not have. And to go back to Peter's statement, maintenance covers for it's actually the Rolls Royce of a warranty, because it covers your services, but it also covers the actual any failure or wear and tear item, like brake pads, like if your engine goes, a maintenance plan. If your engine overheats, a maintenance plan will cover you based on maybe there might be specific benefit tables that might be applicable to overheating, because there's again a customer, there's that element of a customer that's in control of that vehicle, not maybe checking his heat gauge.
Yes.
There's always those factors. So it's always a hot topic when customers phones in and he's got a warranty, but actually he thinks he's got a maintenance.
But I think maybe to add to that is that there are also different types of maintenance plans in the market as well. And I think that adds to a lot of confusion as well. Because, a customer has maybe an expectation of a maintenance plan, but they haven't really been educated in terms of the types of maintenance plan that you get as well. Correct. So I think it's quite important from a consumer point of view that if you're going to be making this large purchase in your life, that you do the homework and figure out what the various types of maintenance plan products that are out there.
I hear you. You've got a question. You've got a question, Peter.
Yes. So, Dawie, I mean, I think a lot of customers, obviously, when they're purchasing a new vehicle, the maintenance plan or a service plan, and certainly the warranty is already bolted onto the vehicle. But there's obviously a lot of us out there that purchase pre-owned vehicles. So I've got two questions. The first one is if you could maybe explain to us in a bit more detail the concept of betterment.
Okay, betterment. Okay, so that's is where there will be a specific cover on a vehicle, or the vehicle is in a specific condition. So, for instance, let's take a Toyota Hilux, and it's got 200,000 kilometers on the speedometer. Now, something goes wrong in terms of engine, maybe engine failure. Engine starts using oil, but it actually has not failed. So obviously, that customer, there's no, and you remember, a warranty is a mechanical breakdown policy. So to put that customer in the same position as before, that warranty will fix the vehicle up to that point, obviously, where that vehicle is obviously drivable again, and there's a mechanical guarantee or workmanship guarantees again on place for that vehicle to continue on the road.
Okay. Awesome.
Does that also work for the concept of if I've got a vehicle that's got 150,000 kilometers on it and the engine blows, so it's not repairable, the engine has to be replaced, would betterment also look at the concept that, in fairness, an engine really should last between 300 and 400,000 kilometers, but because I've already done 150,000 kilometers, that's my betterment, and so the warranty wouldn't be required to pay out for 100% of the costs to replace that motor?
You know, Peter, it's a very intricate question, and obviously the definition of betterment, because ultimately, you, as a insurer, that's always in the background, because all these policies are reinsured or underwritten. You need to apply TCF. What I mean by TCF, you would obviously be familiar with that, is treating customers fairly. You need to put that customer in the same position as before. Right. So come back to your question. Okay, the engine failed now. Yes. Okay. So we can, if you have a type of, if we work on the customer's got unlimited cover, we would use the betterment and say, okay, but that engine can be reconditioned as opposed to fitting a new engine, because a reconditioned engine will carry the same guarantee as what a new motor will carry. But there's obviously the costing factor that's taken into consideration.
Okay, perfect.
I hope that makes sense.
It does, thank you. And then I think another one that's quite relevant, especially from a used car market point of view. If I purchase a vehicle and I want to, for example, purchase an extended mechanical warranty, if that vehicle has missed one or two services, is there any product out there that I can still purchase that would give me some semblance of a mechanical warranty?
Again, very interesting question, Peter. And again, we go back to TCF. How do we treat our customers fairly? One of the main, for the upkeep of a mechanical warranty, to keep that warranty in place, you have to service as per manufacturer specifications. So when a customer purchases a mechanical warranty and it's maybe missing services, the policy wording would normally state you need to service that vehicle within 30 days. And from there, keep up with the service record. Now, sometimes we have customers who actually they forget, or they get busy, or the wife drives the car and they forget to service the vehicle, and then they have a claim. Actually, you have invalidated your warranty by not servicing your vehicle, because that's one of the requirements of the policy, to keep your vehicle in running condition and service it according to manufacturer specs. So going back to TCF again, we apply at Global Motors, we apply the TCF very strongly and say, okay, you will forfeit this claim, but you will not invalidate your warranty. We will put your policy on hold, so to allow you to bring your services back in line, and 90 days after we've put this policy on hold, it will be reinstated, and you can continue with your warranty. Awesome. Where previous customers invalidated your warranties completely and could never claim again against that warranty. So now we have that allowance where we actually put that policy just on hold.
Excellent. I mean, what I'm hearing here really is that there is flexibility out there for customers. There's choice. And I think, once again, the concept of communicate. Ask the questions.
Absolutely.
And I think you might be surprised with what you get answered with.
Correct. So Dawie, one thing that's very important for me is that people need to get hold of you guys and look at the different products that you offer, because there's obviously all the value added products when buying a vehicle. I see that you guys do a dent and scratch repair and all that sort of stuff. Where can they get hold of you?
Fani, they can contact us on our share call number 0861 66 3377, or they can just go onto our website www.globalmotor.co.za. And just to come back, yes, we offer a variety of products via our own network as well,
Yes.
and also through other shareholders in the company. So we offer mechanical warranties, mechanical top-up warranties. We even have a tire and rim cover.
Yes.
If you hit potholes, that type of thing, and you damage your rims, then we offer service and maintenance plans, and then the scratch and dent plans. And they are available as term products and then also as monthly products, where you can actually just pay by debit order every month.
Awesome, absolutely. Guys, I really would advise you to go and check out their website. They've got a very, very nice website, Pete. I spent some time on it yesterday. I want to, before we carry on, just acknowledge our viewers. I've got Vian van Sail, Franco Eberson, Courtney Levue, Pierre-Louis Bush, Richard Taylor, Yanni Harper, Akash Bechen. And I've got a question that I very, very quickly want to touch on. From Landi Günther. She says, what's our opinion on the future trends of the motor trade in South Africa post-lockdown and COVID? We've discussed that at length in previous shows. So maybe advice would be is to go check out some of the previous shows. But your opinion, where are we going?
I mean, I think from a consumer point of view, it's really one of the best times to go purchase a vehicle, because the deals that are out there are amazing, and I think you're also going to find stronger trade-ins. So in a nutshell, for the consumer, great period if you can afford the car. From a motor industry point of view, I think we're starting to approach some really tough times. And I mean, it's so severe that I don't think any of us that are perhaps watching this or part of the studio would have ever actually experienced the seriousness and the consequences of what
it's
is
only
going to
starting.
happen.
We're only starting to really. I know that a lot of the guys have been picking up. But anyway, enough doom and gloom. Let's move on. Dawie, one of my favorite sections in the show is Guess the Car. Now, I've shared last week's show with you so that you can prepare yourself. So you are going to go up against Peter. We're going to show you a very, very small little segment of a car, and then you need to guess. There's 6 vehicles. Best out of the 6 wins.
All right. What are the rules? Remember the rules?
What?
Oh, you got to shout your name out.
You need to shout your name. Dawie, so if you see the picture, you recognize the car, you guys have to shout your name. Whoever shouts the name first will get a chance to answer. Are you guys ready? So the clue for tonight is that the 6 cars come out of the 6 or the top 10 slowest cars ever manufactured.
Wow.
How's about that? The top 10 slowest cars.
So where do I put up the white flag and just hand it over to the...
No, I promise you. I said to you.
Show me an engine and a piston, and we can do some comparisons there. But just like cars,
let's see how it goes.
I look at the interior and the engine components, not at the exterior of the vehicle.
Let's see how it goes. You guys at home also play along. Listen, so this is probably one of the slowest cars featured on Top Gear. That's another tip.
It looks like one of those 3-wheelers, but I have absolutely no idea what it's called.
You need to shout your name if you know.
Yeah, it's way before my time.
It's Fani's current company car.
It even gave the name away on the number plate, the P50, the Peel P50.
Sure, that's quite a dodgy name.
Okay, so the score is 0-0. Let's move on to the next one. I'll give you a clue. Look at the wheel.
Yeah, so
sure.
It is a Fiat.
The Fiat,
You need to shout your name. You need to shout your name if you want to have a chance, guys.
Yo.
I think you need to zoom out a little bit, Fritz. Can you zoom out a little bit and give these oaks a little bit more of that car?
It's a green Fiat.
Anybody at home? Anybody
Peter,
at home?
Is that the Panda?
It's not the Panda, no.
It's not. Yeah, it's not. No, I'm clueless here, guys. Sorry, Peter, you go.
The Fiat Cubo.
Okay.
And this one is the normally aspirated version, the 1.4, and obviously very, very slow. I know that there's been a couple of them in South Africa. I've seen them on the road here, but not a very popular model.
I actually am embarrassed because I've been in one of those and they're brilliant.
All right, the guys. Louis was the closest online. He says it was the Fiat Doblo. It's basically the same vehicle, just the passenger version. Yeah. Okay, let's see the next one, guys.
Sure.
Nobody's going to get this one. Sorry. I made it very difficult because Johan Reeder last week on the show said it was too easy, so we made it very difficult this time.
Thanks for nothing, Johan.
Yes, Johan. Yeah, I'm going to have to speak to Johan. You see, this is again. My initial thoughts was like an A-class when I looked at the map.
It does look like that, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. Is it a Fiat?
The Tata Nano, of course.
Tata Nano. Sure.
Okay, so Peter actually knew that, but didn't get it right. Okay.
So I don't get points for being psychic.
Unfortunately not. Let's move on to the next one.
Sure, tough game. That's a Renault. It's a little city car, but I have no idea what it's called.
Oh my goodness.
Is it a...
I'm going to have to speak to the production team. We might have just gone a little bit too difficult today. But you guys
get a point for being clueless.
I'm going to give you guys both half a point because both of you said Renault. And it's on the wheel cap.
Oh, the Twizy.
The Twizy electric car.
Twizy electric car. First time I've ever actually seen this car,
Let's see the last one. Who's going to get this one?
That is a smart 4-2.
Yeah, it's a smart
4-2.
Peter, well done, bro. I'm going to give it to Peter. He had the last one right.
Flipping hell.
Oh, sorry. Actually, there's one more to come. So let's see if we can tie this up, Dawie.
Okay. Tata my chance.
It's obviously a panel van of some sorts.
I get the same idea. But again, do I get points for being clueless?
Dawie, I'm going to give you half a point for being clueless.
Suzuki.
All right, Fritz, show them, put them out of their misery. It was a dismal 1 to Peter.
Sure.
And half a point to Dawie for being clueless.
Standards have definitely dropped. Or bribe money was not received. One of the two.
I'll definitely make it. Yeah. Landy Günther said it was a golf cart, that Renault electric.
I think the golf cart would probably go faster.
Listen, sorry guys, I actually just had to prove a point to Johan Reeder that this game can actually be very, very difficult. So,
or the guests and the presenter can be very, very stupid. One of the two.
Dawie, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that a lot of our viewers will go and actually visit the website. We've put the address on there and look at your products, and I'm sure that you guys will be of great assistance to them. There's the website address again, www.globalmotor.co.za. Is that correct, Dawie?
That's perfect, and finally, thanks for the opportunity. And Peter, guys, nice to meet up with you guys. And if you need if there's any questions, community is welcome to make contact with us. We will be glad to explain to them and help them through the process.
If you can develop a product that bulletproofs my car for my wife, I'm there.
Phone me.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to a new segment now. It's called the Weekly Dealer Review. So we're going to play a video and let's see who we've got on the show this week.
Welcome to the brand new Penta Klerksdorp. My name is Piet Hofman. I'm the dealer principal at Penta Motor Group in Klerksdorp. It's a huge privilege for me to introduce you to our brand new dealership. So let's go and have a quick tour. Penta Motor Group in Klerksdorp boasts a massive new multi-franchise facility in which you can find the latest and the greatest of the new Suzuki, Renault and Mahindra model lineups. This is also where you can meet my friendly sales team.
Hi, I'm Japie Beste, the Assistant Dealer Principal at Penta Motors Klerksdorp, and I'll be the one assisting you getting your next dream car in your driveway.
Part of our comprehensive service offering at Penta Motor Group Klerksdorp is our in-house finance department with a wide selection of value-added products.
I know getting finance is a constant headache, but our in-house finance department will take the hassle out of the process and get you the deal that you need. I am Sulet Hoffman, and I will take your stress on my shoulders.
Part of hashtag the Penta experience is our after-sales service. Our new state-of-the-art facility allows us to service your vehicle with the love and care that it deserves. Coordinated by our friendly service liaison, Michelle Erich.
My name is Michelle Erich and I will take care of your vehicle. If anything needs special attention, me, together with my qualified team, will make sure the rubber meets the road.
The success of an after-sales department relies heavily on our parts. And with the support of the Penta Parts Network, we can guarantee you fast and reliable service. With our new and improved facility, I can promise you one thing. Our customers will have their part of hashtag the Penta experience. We are situated at 181 Golden Way in Klerksdorp. Our doors are open and our friendly staff can't wait to meet you.
Geez, Pete,
Wow,
that was impressive.
very awesome.
Listen,
I think, Piet, I'm
and
going to say.
look who we've got. Look who we've got. Piet Hoffman just joined us. Piet, welcome to the show.
Hello, Fanny. Hello, Peter. I hope you guys are well.
Well, thank you very much. Listen, what an awesome and unbelievably beautiful dealership. I'm sure that you're very proud of that.
Yeah, extremely proud of it. I think it's been coming for a while that we've been looking at exploring other opportunities with regards to growing our business in Klerksdorp, and obviously having a multi-franchise right now for us offers that for us. And yeah, we've been in this building in this facility for probably a year and a half now, and yeah, very proud of what we've actually achieved here thus far. I think it's a great team as well, and a great team environment that we try and work in. So extremely proud. Thank you.
Awesome. Listen, tell us a little bit more about, you said it's a multi-franchise, so what do you guys actually sell there? We've obviously seen the Renault, we've seen Mahindra and Suzuki.
That's correct. So we currently have the multi-franchise with obviously the Penta approved used brand that's running alongside the Suzuki, Mahindra and Renault brands that we're running all under one roof.
And obviously your workshop is for those brands, but not limited to those brands, correct?
Not limited to it. We're in a position right now where obviously you hear a lot of rumors out there that right to repair is coming to South Africa. So obviously we're trying to gear ourselves to be ready for that and to counter that if possible. So, you know, right now we're taking care of all our OEM brands from a service and parts point of view. But we try and also take care of our retention customers with regards to all the used cars that we sell that aren't necessarily forms part of the OEM brands that we do sell. So we obviously want to gear ourselves to be as market ready for right to repair if that were to come, and make sure that we've got that as a backup plan.
Awesome. Listen, Piet, we're going to give you an opportunity on the show right now. I don't know if you have a specific special or something that you'd like to put out to the viewers out there in Facebook land, or is there something that you'd like to offer the guys?
Not something necessarily specific. Being a multi-franchise, we'd like to always give homage to all our brands that we sell. So not something specifically in this case. What I can say is that, you know, right now with Suzuki, Renault and Mahindra, We're very blessed to be in a situation where we've got the 3 fastest growing brands in South Africa all under one roof. With the way the market's tending to go for the next probably 2 years, that's the way we're seeing it. Used is going to play a cardinal role within the dealership environment. So we're gearing ourselves with regards to making sure that our used outlets fully stocked. So that's where we are. We're just trying to sell cars as much as we can and as much volume as we can necessarily push in order to create some retention and more business for our after sales. So that's where it starts, and it all forms part of the hashtag, the Penta Experience. Let's call it brand that we're trying to build around our service level and expectations.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I don't know if have you got a final thought?
Yeah, I've got a quick question for Piet. Just out of interest, you know, with the way that this pandemic has rolled out, everybody's talking about the new way to do business, etc. I almost think it's the new temporary way.
Yes.
And my question to Piet would be, now that we've kind of started to open up again, how have you found customer expectations and, you know, the feeling and the mood of customers when they come into your dealership?
I think, Peter, thanks for that question. I think it was important for us to try and meet the expectations that NAMSA and NADA has created for us with regards to their tireless work with regards to getting the dealerships open during this time. I think we're in a very blessed position that we've got people like that, you know, that the levy or the negotiating work and the donkey work in order to get our dealers open much sooner than we necessarily anticipated. So I think where we want to go from here is we want to try and be obviously as much out the box with regards to thinking, our safety and health processes within our businesses. That's very important for us at the moment. The way customers feel and the way they get treated whilst they come here, seeing that their safety is also a concern for us, as well as for our staff. Our staff and our customers are both stakeholders for the business. And I think for us it's very necessary to ensure that all the health and safety protocols are in place. From a marketing point of view, very simple. We try and be as aggressive with marketing right now. That's probably where most of our spend is going. We're trying to ensure that overhead stay as low as possible in order to make the business feasible for the future. But as far as it goes with regards to marketing, we're not stopping any expenditure on that. We've done really exceptionally well with regards to our lead management systems that's been put in place over the COVID period. The marketing that Willie Jooste and his team from a marketing point of view with Penta Motor Group has installed and employed for us. It's given us enough momentum to ensure that if we do the basics right, that we ensure business keeps coming in and we keep treating happy customers.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Piet, for joining us. Guys out there, please, if you're in the Klerksdorp area, and even if you're not, please give them a call. Go visit their awesome dealership. Piet, thanks very much for joining us, and all the best for the future.
Thanks, Piet.
Cool, guys. Thanks for the interview. I appreciate it. You guys have a good show.
Thanks, man. Keep well. All right, so I'm very excited about this new segment, and this is where I'd like to actually get the viewers involved again. So we've had a couple of questions offline with regards to how things work. Okay, so what we decided to do is make a new segment, and we're going to answer your questions. So the question that we had, and maybe let's just roll into that section, was how does turbos work? So here's our new section, how does it work, with Peter Viljoen.
Welcome to our new section on how does it work. So we've had a few questions about turbos, for example, and I thought that we would take you through a particular turbo today, because obviously there's a whole range of different turbos out there, and we'll perhaps have a look at those turbos in later sessions. But one of the doins of turbos that we see in diesel vehicles in particular is the variable nozzle or variable vane or variable geometry turbo. Depending on which side of the Atlantic or which manufacturer you work for, they're all the same thing. So we're going to take you through the variable nozzle turbo. I thought perhaps before we kicked off with the variable nozzle turbo itself, we'll just give you a basic breakdown of why we have turbos in a vehicle and exactly how a turbo works. So initially, when turbos first came out, they were there purely to add performance to the vehicle. And the way a turbo generates performance for a vehicle is it literally shoves in as much oxygen as possible in the intake manifold. So the more oxygen that we get in the engine, the more it's able to combust the fuel. So if we have a look at this diagram over here, it's a very simple layout of a traditional turbo layout. So on the one side, we have our exhaust gases that come through the manifold and spin on this exhaust turbine over here. Now this turbine starts to build up more and more RPM. It's connected via a shaft, or obviously a lot more compact, to our compressor blades over here, which then draw in air, compress that air, and force it into the engine. So it's sometimes called forced induction as well. All right, so we've said that initially turbos were designed to provide performance for the vehicle, but there were some catches. So initially turbos were very, very unreliable and really only the domain of race cars. So when turbos first started to feature on passenger cars, they really unfortunately developed a bad reputation for unreliability. So they were very, very expensive and quite unreliable. So we found that turbos actually waned and less manufacturers used turbos. But then things changed. So environmental pressures started to mount on manufacturers to produce engines that were far more efficient, more powerful, smaller, and that produced better fuel consumption. So the engineers had to go back to the drawing board and have a look at what they could do to make turbos more reliable. So what made turbos unreliable in the first place? Well, the first thing is that turbos revved up to eye-watering amounts of speed. So the typical turbo in the early days would rev up to 400,000 RPM. The second thing that happened was when you accelerated, the turbo revs would increase. When you came off the accelerator, the turbo revs decreased, and that created fatigue within the turbo, which made them unreliable. But the biggest challenge with turbos was what happened when you switched off the engine once you'd arrived home and stopped the vehicle. Now, anything that's metal is a heat sink. So when you stop circulating coolant around either the engine or the turbo, when you switch the engine off, it actually gets hotter and substantially hotter. And this was true for turbos as well. So when we switched the vehicles off, the turbo was still spinning at very, very high RPM, but it now had no coolant going around and it started to self-destruct. So again, when turbos were introduced on passenger cars, we had to sit for a few minutes in our cars waiting for the turbos to spool down and switch off. So that was clearly going to be unacceptable if turbos were going to become mainstream. So one of the designs that engineers came up with to overcome these problems was with the variable nozzle turbo. So on this slide over here, I'm going to give you an example of a variable nozzle turbo and how it works. Now, if you remember the days when you'd go to the beach and you'd get these little fans that you'd blow on, what would happen? You'd blow on that fan and you'd pucker your lips up to blow that fan. And this is exactly what these linkages achieve with a variable nozzle turbo. So when the flow of exhaust gases is low, these linkages close and they restrict the flow of exhaust gases like we do with our lips. And that increases the speed of the exhaust gases, which starts to spool up the speed of the turbo even quicker. Now, we don't want the revs of the turbo to fluctuate like in the old turbos, so the designers wanted the turbo to reach its revs very quickly and then plateau out into a very stable set of RPM. And to do that, what they do is, as the exhaust gas flow increases, they start to open up the linkages, much like you do with your lips, like that on this little fan. So we now had this fantastically simple system that's very, very reliable, that produces torque from a turbo at very low RPM. So we, to a large extent, eradicate the problem of turbo lag. And we now have this turbo that's nice and reliable. All right, and here we have the end result of a typical variable nozzle turbo. And here's the torque curve. And you can see the torque curve as well is very consistent. And this is a reflection on the actual revs that the turbo is spinning at. So where in previous turbo technologies we were revving the turbo up to 400,000 RPM, these variable nozzle turbos typically only reach about 125,000 RPM. And once they reach that, we open up the linkages and we keep a consistent RPM on the turbo, which provides us with consistent torque. So it also adds to the drivability of the vehicle in terms of not having this fluctuation in torque delivery from the turbo as well. And then once we've reached a maximum set of RPM, we can actually reduce the burden on the turbo, because we no longer need that turbo to provide us with power, because the actual RPM of the engine itself is now going to produce the power by itself. So all in all, this is what makes these turbos incredibly reliable, fantastically cost effective, and just an all-round win-win solution. All right, so there you have it, the variable nozzle turbo. In future episodes, we are going to be going through the different types of turbos that are out there, and there's some really, really interesting turbos and technologies. But we're also going to go through the technologies of all the components that we found on vehicles in any case, and there's some really, really interesting stuff to look out for. So don't forget to watch out for future episodes of how things work.
Jeez, Pete. Not just a pretty face, bro.
Who knew?
Who knew?
It's exciting stuff, I must say. I'm really looking forward to those segments, and I think we're going to try and obviously keep it in as simple terms as possible for everyone to understand, but we certainly want to show customers out there where the value resides in their cars as well.
Listen, there's so many things on a car that nobody understands, so I'm really looking forward to doing this with you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, guys. It was a very jam-packed show. We are back here Thursday next week, same time, same place, with episode 12. And let's see what happens this week.
Yeah, maybe I won't have to wear a jersey next episode.
I think that cold front that Dawie spoke about is going to probably hit us that time next week, so I don't think so, Brie. Listen, guys, thank you very much for joining us. The guys on raceday.tv and FS Media, FS Auto, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Have a good one.
Cheers.